You are a Salvadoran soccer player. It's June 27th, 1969. You are in Mexico City and it has now reached extra time and World Cup qualification is on the line. You score and because of you, El Salvador is now going to the 1970 World Cup. 17 days later, your country is at war. But it didn't start with that goal. It started 3 weeks earlier over the course of 3 games that caused the war in the first place. In the first game, you travel to Honduras. The night before the match, fans surround your hotel and throw rocks and firecrackers at your windows all night and you don't sleep. The game is played on no sleep and as expected, you lose 1-0. In the second game, Honduras comes to you. Finally rested, your team wins 3-0, but because of your win, riots break out across Honduras that night. The Honduran coach says afterwards, and this is a real quote, "We're awfully lucky we lost, otherwise we'd have been dead." And he meant it. In Game 3, it is a neutral ground for both teams, which is played in Mexico City. With the score even at 2-2, it goes to extra time. You score the winner in extra time to make it 3-2, and now you have sent your home nation El Salvador to the World Cup. On that exact same day, your government cuts all diplomatic ties with Honduras, and that's when it all begins. At the time, El Salvador was tiny, overcrowded, and brutally unequal. Hundreds of thousands of its citizens had no land and no jobs. So they crossed the border into Honduras and built lives there. By 1969, over 300,000 Salvadorans were living in Honduras. Then Honduras decided they didn't want them anymore. They stripped them of their land, canceled the immigration treaty, and started deporting people who had lived there for decades, and many of them were beaten and forced to walk 100 miles back to the border. Both countries were occupied by military dictatorships on the verge of collapse. Both governments pointed fingers at each other and unfortunately, both populations believed them. It is now July 14th, 1969, which is 17 days after your game-winning goal. El Salvador attacks first. Their air force hits targets inside Honduras. Their bombers and passenger planes have explosives strapped to the outside. The army invades on 2 fronts, pushing deep into Honduran territory. They advance fast, then they run out of gas. Honduras strikes back. Air raids on El Salvador's port cities. Oil storage tanks explode. The Salvadoran war effort collapses almost immediately. 4 days later, it's over. The OAS steps in, a ceasefire is declared, and just like that, 100 hours of war. Here's what that cost. 4,000 people dead, mostly civilians. 300,000 Salvadorans displaced, many beaten, some walking over 100 miles to the border. The regional economy paralyzed for over a decade. And the wave of refugees flooding back into an already overcrowded El Salvador eventually helped trigger the Salvadoran Civil War, which killed 75,000 people. The two countries didn't sign a peace treaty until 1980, 11 years after your goal. And that is the story of how one goal caused a 100-hour war.